What's an inverter? Well, solar panels on your roof produce DC, direct current, and that comes into an inverter. The inverter converts that direct current into AC, which is alternating current, which is basically the power that comes out of your power points. So inverters can be grouped into three different categories. We have string inverters, which has a central inverter on the wall. We have micro inverters, which is a separate inverter on each individual panel, and they're located on the roof. And then there's optimizers, which uses a string inverter plus a set of electronics that goes on the back of each individual panel on the roof. Ideally, don't put it on a north-facing wall. Keep it on an east-facing or west or south. Keep it out of the sun. The other thing is there will be a conduit that goes up onto the roof. Now, some people say, why can't you install that inside the wall? The reason why is because the cabling that goes between the inverter and the roof needs to be run in heavy-duty conduit. Another thing is monitoring. So with a Fronius inverter, for example, we connect it to your internet connection, and it does two things. One is that you can monitor the system yourself from home, smartphone app, or on your computer. But more importantly, we're monitoring the system for you remotely, which means that if you think the system's not working correctly or something's not quite right, we're able to get online right away. We can look at what the system's doing. We can look back at the history. We can check grid voltage. We can look at all sorts of different things to determine whether either the system is actually working fine and using more power, or there is actually an issue with the system and we need to investigate. Another thing we can do is install a smart meter. And what it does is it's monitoring solar generation. It's monitoring what power is coming from the grid and what you're using in your house. So at any time of the day, you can get on the app and you can go, well, my solar system's generating 5 kilowatts. I'm using 3 in my house, and the other 2 is heading back into the grid. And that's what the smart meter does. It gives you that next layer of information. So with a solar system, the single biggest point of failure is the DC isolator. That's actually a switch, which is located on the roof, and with most inverters is also located on the wall here. Now, one of the unique features of the Fronius inverter is that that DC isolator is integrated into the inverter. One of the unique features of the Fronius inverter is you can actually remove the inverter, but all the connections remain on the wall. That's one of the reasons why the integrated DC isolator complies, because you can remove the inverter to repair it and you don't end up with live connections on your wall. A question I so often get asked, how come my solar system turns off when the grid goes down? So poor old mate up the power lines trying to fix the power issue is going to get electrocuted because the solar power is going to be generating energy and this is going to be pumping power back into the grid. So a really, really important feature is the fact that if the grid goes down, this instantly shuts down and doesn't operate until the grid gets back on. There are other options, and that is, for example, installing a battery, and I'll explain a bit more about batteries and how they form an important part of any solar system.